and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jerry and I like to crochet. So I generally crochet really often, but one thing I realized I haven't made in a super long time is a bucket hat. I used to make bucket hats really often, but for some reason I just haven't made one in a super long time. So I thought, why not give it a go and show you the process of how I do it. So for this granny square today, I think I'm going to use a flower pattern, and this is super simple to make. All you need to do is create 5 granny squares and do a little trimming on the bottom. I'm gonna make this tutorial as beginner friendly as possible, but again, as always, it will help if you have prior crochet knowledge. And for this bucket hat, you are going to have to know how to do a magic ring. You're also going to have to know how to do single crochets and double crochets and how to slip stitch. So these are the basic stitches that I'm going to be using today, but I will show you how to do most of these as I go along with the tutorial. For this project, I'm going to be using a 5.5mm hook because it is my favorite hook to use. But again, you don't have to use this exact hook, just as long as you use one which is in a similar size range. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. So these are the 3 colors that I've picked out for my hat, and I'm using my 5.5mm hook. And I'm gonna start by doing a magic ring and then chaining 1 to secure it. And this part that we're making right now is the center of the flower, so I've chosen to use white. And now I'm just going to do 8 single crochets into the loop. So you do a single crochet by inserting your hook, chaining down, wrapping your string round and pulling through. So I'm just going to do 8 of these. And once I've completed my 8 single crochets, I'm just going to pull the string at the back tighter, and this closes the circle before doing a slip stitch into the first stitch. And this will close the circle. And then I'm just going to take my scissors, cut the yarn, and then I'm going to chain off by wrapping around and pulling through the bottom. We are then going to insert the next colour into any part of the circle. So all you need to do is pull the yarn through and tie a little knot before chaining up 3. So now I'm going to start by making the petals, and all I've done is tie my string on, and I'm going to start by chaining up 3, which you do by wrapping around and pulling down. And now we're going to yarn over, place our hook into the loop and chain through the first 2. So just the first 2. And then we're going to do this process again and chain through the first 2 once more, chain through the first 2 until we have 4 loops on our hook, and then we are going to chain through all 4, and this creates a petal, and then I'm going to chain 2. Now in the next loop we're going to do the same kind of thing, so chain through the first 2, chain through the next 2, chain again through the next 2. And this time we're going to do it until we have 5 loops on our hook, so not 4, 5. And then chain through all 5 and chain 2. So we're just going to keep repeating this pattern all the way around the circle until you have 8 petals in total. So please make sure that you have 8, or else we won't be able to proceed with the rest of the granny square. Now once you finish your 8, you're going to chain 2, and you are just going to slip stitch into the first petal, and this ensures that the flower is closed. And then again we are going to cut our yarn and then chain off. To make the next part of this granny square, we are going to be working into the chain 2 gaps that we made while creating the petals. So all you need to do is attach your blue yarn. And don't worry if there's a little gap in the circle, it will be fixed when we darn in the ends. So now I've inserted my next colour, and I'm just going to chain up 3. And what we are going to do is we are going to create 2 double crochets into the same space. So to do a double crochet, you wrap your yarn around your hook, place it into the space, chain through the first 2 and then chain through the next 2, and this has created a cluster. So I'm just going to chain 1 and do the same thing into the next gap, but this time we are going to create a corner. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2 this time. And now we are going to chain 3 more double crochets into the same gap. And what this does is it creates a little corner, so we have like a box effect. Now chain 1 again, and into the next space, do 3 double crochets. So this will create the middle. Chain 1. And now into the next space, we are going to create another corner. So again, that's just 3 double crochets. Chain 2, and then 3 more double crochets. So we're going to keep repeating this pattern until you get all the way around the petal, and I will meet you back when you are finished. So now that we've finished all of our clusters, what we are going to do is chain 1 and then slip stitch into the first cluster that we did before chaining up 3. And then now we are going to do 2 double crochets into the gap here. So this is the first one, the second one, chain 1, and then do 3 double crochets into the next space. Chain 1, and this time we are going to do our clusters in these little chain 2 gaps that we made beforehand. And this will ensure that the granny square gets bigger by each round. So as you can see, I'm making the first 3 double crochets, chaining 2, and then 3 more double crochets, so that we have this corner. So now all we need to do is create 3 double crochets in each gap, and then do the corner in the chain 2 spaces in each row. And again, now that we've got to the end, I'm just going to slip stitch. And then I'm actually going to chain off this time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my first colour yarn into this gap here. So now I've just attached my brown colour, and I'm going to start by chaining 3 before doing 2 double crochets into the same space. Chaining 1, creating another cluster of 3 double crochets. So just follow this exact same pattern until you have your completed granny square. And this is what mine looks like, and as you can see, after the flower I did 2 rows of one colour and then the third row in a different colour, but it's really up to you. If you have a bigger head, you can do 1 more row, and you need to make 5 of these granny squares in order to create the hat. So now that I've finished chaining 5 granny squares, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start slip stitching them together into this cube shape. So essentially we have the 4 sides and then 1 on the top. So I will show you how to do slip stitching now. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to take 2 pieces and turn them inside out, so that we have the darn ends on the outside, and all we are going to do is we are going to slip stitch along the edges, and this will create one of the sides of the hat. So in order to slip stitch, all I'm doing is I'm attaching my yarn onto both sides, and this might be a little bit difficult because the chains here are a little bit tight. So I'm just tying on my yarn, and then I'm going to chain 1. And now I'm inserting my hook in between both loops on both squares. And I'm just going to pull this yarn down and then pull through again. So I'll do it one more time. And I'm just going to keep doing this all along the edge. And now all I'm going to do is cut my yarn, chain off, and this creates 2 sides of the hat. So all you need to do are the other 2 sides and then attach 1 square to the top, and this is what your hat should look like. So it should be a little cube without the bottom. And when you finally have your cube shape, all you need to do is turn your hat the correct way around, and then we will be making the trimming. So in order to do the trimming, all we need to do is 6 double crochets into each hole. So as you can see, I've attached my yarn and I start by chaining up 3, and now I'm going to do 5 more double crochets into this gap because the chain 3 counts as 1. So we should know how to do a double crochet by now because we've been doing them for the granny square. So I'm just doing this very quickly. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm going to go straight into the next gap and double crochet 6. So just do this all around the hat in every single gap. And when we reach last gap, we're just going to do the same thing we always do. We are going to slip stitch into the first stitch, and this will ensure that the hat is closed off, and then we can cut our yarn and chain off. So when you finish doing the trimming, all that's left is to darn in your ends. And if you want, which is what I decided to do, I did another layer around the brim in the blue color that I have, and I just did single crochets into every single stitch. And I just find that this gives the hat a nice completed look. So this is what the finished bucket hat looks like, and I think it turned out really cute. I'm glad I went with the color scheme that I went with because I really like it a lot. I think it will be really nice for when the weather starts getting a little bit warmer, and I'm super excited to see what kind of outfits that I can pair with this. I think it would just look really, really nice. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful and that you were able to follow along at home. And in the meantime, if you would like to see more from me, I really hope you consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a thumbs up because it helps me out a lot. And you can also follow me on Instagram or on TikTok if you're interested in that too, at IOofficial. And with that being said, I will see you next time. Bye bye.